Welcome to the Healing Spirits Here and There podcast with Terry and Amanda, where you'll hear spiritual perspectives, weird mediumship experiences, and try intuitive and trust-building exercises for yourself. Join us every Friday. Like and subscribe to never miss a show, and let's get started. Hello, welcome to the Healing Spirits Here and There podcast. I'm Amanda.
And I'm Terry. Today, we're going to talk about taking back our power. Is that what we said? We're going to take back our power.
And I hope you know.
And what power are we talking about, Amanda?
Just like our personal power, like our power to be happy, our power to live our lives with some integrity and live the way we want to,
Mm-hmm.
But we'll get more into it than that. Just kind of on our
how we want to, not how we as the world want to.
What do we want to change in our life to walk through this changing world? What's going to help us feel like we're in power of our own lives? I think I just said that weird. In power of our own lives.
Be empowering in our own lives.
Empowering in our own lives,
That's okay. I speak Amanda-ese.
So anyways, that's what we wanted to talk about today. And the reason is just because I think we're at like a turning point here. Whoa. We're at a turning point where like society is sick or something, or the way we've been living is not serving us. And I don't mean sick like, I just mean what we do, right? Not everybody, but using our phones, eating food that's filled with chemicals, being depressed, all these things. It just feels sometimes like unless you're really trying to live a good, healthy, fun life, it's really easy not to. It's really easy to get sucked into everything. And then you look around and go, what the hell? I'm not happy. Like, I don't want to live like this. So how do you want to live? How do
I make that change? How do I make that change?
Exactly.
And sometimes the changes maybe like you and I want to change, but maybe our partners don't. Maybe they like doing what they're doing, and I don't give a crap what you're doing. This is what I'm going to do, as hard as it may be,
Right. To be true to yourself. Everybody doesn't always want to come along with you.
That's okay. That's all right.
Sometimes they'll eventually come along and sometimes they won't. And you guys will meet somewhere in the middle,
Yeah.
It's like, we got to do what we got to do sometimes. And then you find
it's just like having something go wrong in your life and you're mad and you're pissed off. How are you going to handle that? How are you, that's a change that I want to see. Like if something pisses me off, I want to go 0 to 911. I just, 0 to 10. Yeah. But now I kind of want to look back at it and go, I can't fix that. Well, I didn't cause that. Should I help with that? But there's no should I help with that with Terry. It's just like, how do I fix this? Right. And then that causes more of those environmental things happening to me.
Right. And then maybe you're enabling other people by always fixing their problems.
I'm robbing them of their path.
Yeah, robbing them of their empowerment to do things on their own. And sometimes people have to hit rock bottom, which you don't want your kids or anybody you love. You don't want to see them go through pain and suffering. But if you fix everything, then they're not going to know how to do it on their own.
I think all the shit that we go through, that's crap. I mean, it sounds really bad to say this, but this is me. This is just me, not you. And it's through trial and error that I've gotten to this point of, wow, that was really shitty. That was horrible. But I look back on it and it's how I've shifted. And I know we've talked about it before, is things that happen in our lives are just part of our path to teach us, don't do that again. Or, it took you down the path a little bit more of knowledge. Right.
Yeah.
So that's how I look at it.
Imagine
It's like,
this just popped in my head. Imagine if your path is to learn a certain lesson. And so you keep living this lesson and someone keeps fixing it for you. So now you have to do it again. And then they fix it. And now you have to do it again because you never learned the lesson on your own. And the person who's fixing, it's a detriment to them because they're starting to resent you. Why do I always have to fix this person's problems? They don't know how, they're irresponsible. I never thought about it like that before until just this moment.
but that does make sense because that's what I say. You're altering their path.
Yeah.
Even as a kid and growing up, I'm not going to say I was the perfect kid by any means. I gave my mom a run,
Yeah.
and I can regret them now. And I could only try to be better than that situation. But we don't want our friends and family and the people that we know to go through something. So if I have knowledge, I can give it to you. If you listen to it, that's on you. But I can't lead the horse to make the horse drink water, right?
Yeah.
So it's just like on me, if I'm a medium and I'm psychic and I know things. And then if I'm trying to warn you and you don't listen, and then I'm mad that you didn't listen because then it becomes a shit show. Right.
And I think you can just be a person who isn't psychic too.
Right. But I'm saying
or a medium and have that same reaction like,
oh,
you didn't listen to
absolutely.
anything I said.
Right. Absolutely. But in a sense, my information sometimes is more than just the common sense.
Right. Sure.
Common sense.
Yeah.
And when somebody once told Jeffrey, I don't know why you don't listen to your mom. She's always right about blah, 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 blah. And he goes, not listening to it because that's his path.
Yeah.
Right. It's his path. Whatever.
Yeah. And no one's ever going to like listen to everything that someone says. We're our own people. And so, okay, how does this relate to taking our power back? Right. So it sounds to me like one of the steps is self-reflection on how are you hurting yourself, right? Maybe trying to fix situations. For me, it's trying to control situations that make me uncomfortable or make me feel unsafe, but maybe they're not unsafe. They just make me uncomfortable and detaching from that. And I've recently been doing that. Like I'm trying to think of a good example, but just being
I'm waiting for your example.
Well, it's too personal. I can't say
well,
on
go
here,
to something else.
Yeah, so I'm trying to think of something else, but being kind of attaching my happiness to how people treat me too is a really one that I just do, like having high expectations for others to be like always thinking about what I want and making time for me when really what I need to do is make time for myself and be more outspoken on my needs instead of thinking other people should know what they are and then just make their day work that way for me. And it sounds kind of stupid and selfish the way I'm saying it, but like as an example, like I need time to get ready for the podcast, right? But we do it in the morning and it can be a hard morning, busy morning with the baby and trying to do breakfast and get dressed and all this stuff and get ready. And I would like at least a certain amount of time to get ready while other people in the house need to get ready. And they're not going to just remember that I need my time to get ready. And so then I'll get mad like, oh, great, I had 10 minutes. Awesome. It takes me longer than that to get ready. But did I say, hey, I need a half an hour. Let's figure that out, how we can make this morning work. No, I just expect the other people to be like, to know how much time I need, and that sounds really silly. It's just a small example of saying, if you have needs that aren't being met and you're mad at people around you because they're not meeting them, you need to, at least if you're anything like me, you need to be a little bit more outspoken and really say what your needs are and then work that out together. But everybody is different. So we're all struggling with different things, but self-awareness is a really great way to start. How are you blocking yourself from living a more authentic and true life, right? And so who's that? The cat?
Celine, it's the dog.
Oh,
She's
the
gotten
dog.
too big and she's eating my bean bags in the studio.
Ooh. Ooh. But we wanted to really talk about how to take back your life, or take your power back, just like with phones, like with society, stuff like that too. We had mentioned on the last podcast that Terry and I both have a home phone. And the reason it sounds so silly, but the reason I got this home phone is because I wanted to try and do like a day a week phoneless and tell my friends and family, hey, if there's an emergency, here's my house phone number, call me. And just try and remember what it's like to be without a phone. Because you guys, I notice now, like, even when I'm playing with my son outside and stuff, like, I'll look at my phone or it'll be like sitting somewhere. I try and set it away from me and I'm playing with him and engaging with him. And then every now and then I'm like, I'll look over and I look at my phone. I just look at it from afar. Oh, is there anything on it? Did anybody text me? Do I have a notification? Like, what am I doing? It's like I'm insane. And so I thought, why am I looking at my phone like that? Like, I need to put that away and get it out of my life, for maybe not forever, but just a little while till I can have a more balanced relationship with this phone. And anyway, so I think that's one way is get rid of the technology for a little bit, reconnect with your backyard, your house, your family, yourself, and just be,
My mom just I'm really glad my mom has these cool friends and they take her to do things that my mom would not come out of her box to do. So like they go to park concerts, right?
Ooh,
and so my mom just
fun.
went to one. They're usually free, kind of like what we have here in Arlington. They're free. People just gather and listen. Well, my mom said that there was this huge screen put up at the park and she was wondering what that was going to be for. Well, what it was is during the break, they played like the Little Mermaid or something on it for the kids. But in between that time, my mom said, I said, so what was the best part of the concert? She goes, the kids. And I said, Ma, the kids? And she says, so many kids. None of them were on devices. They were all playing hopscotch. What's that? She goes, what's that rope that you like to play? I said, double dutch. She goes, they were playing jump rope. They were playing hopscotch. She said, they were playing ring around the mulberry bush. And she's like, I couldn't stop watching them do what you did as a child or what kids used to do. She goes, they were laughing. No one was fighting. No one was crying. She goes, that was my favorite part. And I said, oh, everyone unplugged. Kind of like my meditation, my meditation that I had. For those of you that don't know, I saw a big wall switch, a switch. That doesn't look very nice, but a switch. And I was like, they were like, flip the switch. And I'm like in my head going, why? Why do I want to flip that switch? What's going to happen if I flip that switch? It said, flip the switch and then live your lives. And so then I had talked to you about it. I talked to your mom about it. I talked to Les about it. And to me, I think it was, if we were to just not have the technology that we have, that we would be. I already turn off the news. I don't watch it.
Yeah. And I know a lot of people would say, like, you're not going to turn off technology. Technology is advancing. That's okay. That's fine. But we have to have it in balance. We have, we're organic organisms. We're not robots. We have to go do things outside of the phone. And Terry, when you were talking, and you were talking about how your mom's favorite thing was watching the kids play. How many kids are competing for their parents' attention from the phone?
You ever go to a restaurant? Yep, I'm there with you.
Yeah, when you guys are out, like, stop for a minute and just look around. Everyone is staring at their phones. David and I went to the park yesterday, actually, and we're at the playground with Noah, and I just looked around and so many of the parents are just on their phone. And hey, I get it. You don't get any time to yourself. Maybe that's the only time your kid is not playing with you. So I understand. I've done it before, but that's not the only place,
But
just
what great joy would that give a parent to watch their kid running down the slide or whatever? You know what I
yeah. Well,
mean?
and I know Noah turns around all the time to see if I'm watching him. And so I try and always not have my phone because I don't want him to be playing and turn around and look at me and I'm not paying attention. I don't think that does a lot for self-confidence for the kid to be like, oh, as soon as I turn my back, they're not looking at me anymore.
Or that he can mimic what you're doing later, right?
Right. It's so many things. And so I just think like, yeah, step number one, think of, self-reflection. Step number two, try to disengage from the technology, even
A
if you can only
little.
do a little bit at a time, like schedule a half an hour. It depends on how much you use it now. Maybe you're really good and you're not using it that much. So maybe this part isn't for you. But I
My
know that,
husband comes home from work and he has this little box and you put all of his stuff, his wallet and his whatever in there. And he always puts a cell phone on there right on the charger and he won't touch it all weekend long. All weekend
yeah,
long. He won't
that's
touch that
amazing.
phone. You
Which
know.
you guys have a house phone, and so that works for you. And the other thing, if you don't have a house phone and you're like, I ain't add no house phone to my bills, that's ridiculous. You can also try getting a box. Like Terry said, we have one. We're not using it, but we mean to. At the front of the house, a little box and a sign that says, do more things that make you not want to look at your phone, something like that. And there's a charging station. So you can take your phone, stick it in the charging station, turn the volume all the way up. So if you do get an important call or whatever, you can still hear it, but it's not by your side.
Right.
Just
Right.
figure out something that works for you. Challenge yourself to not have a phone, because how many husbands and wives or relationships are also affected?
It is way crazy.
Yeah.
You know, my mom has always had a flip phone, and we just got her first smartphone. And
Mhm.
our granddaughter, my son was over there, and my daughter-in-law was over there trying to help her understand it. And
Yeah.
then they showed me stop. Sorry, showed me a
Terry
that
has a puppy, y'all.
Celine.
You might have to go put her out, Terry. Or not. We'll see. We'll figure it out.
Anyways, my daughter-in-law Judith, she sent me a picture, or his fiance sent me a picture of Mia teaching her grandma, her great grandma, how to Google.
Gotcha.
And I was like, my mom's had none of that technology. My mom doesn't know how, but society is pushing her into this, or you can't do that. She can't go to the grocery store because she doesn't have an email address to get the discounts that they give the people in the store. Well, what's your cell phone number? My mom is a very private person. You don't need my cell phone number, right? I don't even think she knows her own cell phone number, to be honest, right? And so it's for an emergency purposes only, in case she gets stranded or needs to call somebody long distance. So it was kind of funny to see my mom trying to come back up into it. And then I was all upset with going, oh my God, if you're Googling your own stuff, you're not going to call me and I'm not going to be able to help you. Google, So that's an attachment of being able to help my mom. Like, what happened to this anchor man, blah, 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 because I don't watch TV.
Right.
All the bad stuff that's going off in the world. Yeah, I should know maybe about it, but I can't fix it. I can't do anything about it. I don't want to be oblivious to it, but I'm putting that wall up
What is
to
that
me.
sound?
Oh my God. I'm pausing for a minute. Hold on. It's on Celine's end. Look, she ate the beanbag. And I was trying to get her to stop.
So another suggestion, besides spending some time away from the phone for obvious reasons, is committing to 5 to 10 minutes outside. Learn to do something that you enjoy. garden. Okay. And some people are like, gardening is too hard. I can't do that. My suggestion is to buy one plant. Buy a tomato plant. They're easy. Stick them in the sun, at least during summertime. Just find one thing that you like to do outside. Garden, go on a walk, meditate, put your feet in the ground. The point of this is to clear your mind. It's kind of like a walk, like a meditation. It can be to do an activity outside, and meditation is proven to help you. You can look it up. There's many studies. Maybe I'll link one to seriously help your nervous system, your mind, your body. It's a whole thing. And so I think that is part of taking your power back, is learning how to calm yourself and be in a clearer state of mind, even if it's only for 5 or 10 minutes a day. And do more if you want, because nature is very good for you.
Right. And it's hard because of that would take me back to mental health, but the state that we live in, it's not always as beautiful as it is right now. And that's because of all the rain and then maybe the gray skies that we get that lets us enjoy the evergreen state. So that could play a big role. And I know that for me, been noticing that I don't even have to look outside. My body already knows what's going on out there. It's kind of a human barometer, so to speak, because we had sun, but then we only had overcast days. And when I got out of bed, I said the words, I feel like a sponge. So I felt like I absorbed the moisture that was on out there, and then it kind of slowed me down. So maybe when you can't get out on those days, maybe change a few light bulbs in the house to give you that outside feeling.
Do you mean to like a different type of light bulb?
They have ones that's like daylight, like it helps you.
Yeah, that's what I
like that kind of gives you the sun that you need, or go to the movies with some friends. If you could go to the movies, have some friends over and play game. I love game night.
Try real connection with real human beings in person. And I know everybody doesn't have time, but make time.
We have to make time for ourselves and have fun and laugh or whatever, put on a comedy and laugh it out. But also I've noticed that prices have gone up in foods and stuff. And so I've been mindfully looking at changing why I eat grass fed. And so getting that kind of meat to put into my environment for organic or grass fed or gluten free or whatever. That's another thing. I'm being more mindful of what I put into my mouth. Yep. We went to the movies yesterday and Les handed me red licorice, which is absolutely one of my favorite things. And I had 3 pieces. And when I left, I was sick. And I said, I let myself down. I had no control to sit there and watch. That's what I was saying earlier, that I can only do what's right for me and have the willpower when someone sits next to you. I don't want to say, don't eat that because I can't have it.
Right. That's not fair.
Right. If you want to have red dye, and I know red dye is bad, but I had to have licorice. So, but that's something that I'm saying, that I can't put my happiness on somebody else, and I can't put my changes on somebody else. But if I could see the positive in something, or what am I learning from this, then I think that it'll reflect to other people.
Right. Like a perspective change. Yeah. Like, what is this teaching me, instead of why is this happening to me? Something like that. Going back to, you were talking about food and how expensive it is. That's affecting everybody. And so something that we've done too is just try and simplify. Beans, I buy the dry beans now. You get so much more, and it really isn't that hard. You just stick it in some water and leave it all night and cook them the next day. Like, everybody doesn't have that much time, but if you do it on the weekend, you'll have them all week, and just simplifying your life, because the more simple your food intake is, the less chemicals you have, the healthier it's going to be for you. Find local eggs. There's a lot of people in our community that have backyard chickens, and they don't charge as much as the store. And then you can ask them, Do you vaccinate them? Are they organic? All those things that you want to know. Most of the people with backyard chickens, like, they're not giving them a whole bunch of weird stuff. And so that makes me feel better because I don't want
Mhm.
a bunch of hormones and weird things. But
Mhm.
anyways, I'm just saying we have to kind of go about our lives a little bit different right now if we want to take care of ourselves. So that means
Mhm.
maybe learning how to grow a thing or two. And if you're just like, you can't do it, see what you can get locally in your community to also help support your specific community instead of the big box stores if you can. And sometimes the prices are better local and
Mhm.
it's healthier for you.
Mhm. Well, we have in the park in Arlington. They have on Saturdays. They have the vegetables and fruits and stuff like that, and it's from local people, so you can go to
Mhm.
places like that.
Yep.
I'm growing peppers right now, and I kill everything, I swear I do. And last year I had a good garden, I thought, but then the
Mhm.
rabbits ate it. So
Mhm.
it seems like every step forward I try to do, and I don't want to be that one that has to go garden. I don't want to have to go weed it. But when I do get the fruit or the veggies from it and I can it, it lasts
Mhm.
me all winter long. And all I had to do really was the water it and keep the weeds out.
Yeah,
So I
and
have
potatoes are really easy.
never done potatoes. Your mom does potatoes, but I've never
Yeah,
done that.
they're real easy, but these are the kind of things that, like, we haven't had to do.
Mhm.
So, kind of taking our power back is learning how to grow food. How do we feed ourselves without so
Mhm.
much dependence on
Mhm.
the stores?
Mhm.
Because inflation, I would call it greedflation right now. A report came out too saying it. Yes, inflation is real, but a lot of the reportings of the earnings of these companies are skyrocketing. It's not
Mhm.
all supply and demand. There's a lot of
Mhm.
greed happening, and
Mhm.
so how do we counteract that? We have to start doing things more on our own, and it's hard
Right.
because we have to learn it. you know,
Mhm.
I'm not great at growing anything. I'm just trying, and we do get some stuff. And then it's really fun to connect with your food in that way too. You're like,
Mhm.
oh my God, I grew this. I'm not going to waste an ounce of it,
Mhm.
versus buying it at the store where
Mhm.
it's easy to discount the effort
Mhm.
that went into growing that because you didn't have to personally do it.
Right. Well, if I had to do applesauce for my family without the added sugars in it, straight up apples in it or cinnamon in it, I'm in control of what I'm eating, right? But I'm
Yeah.
preserving it for the whole year. But if I was to go buy a box of apples, bushels of apples, I don't know what they call it. But if I was to go buy that, it would be so expensive. It's almost stupid not to buy it in the store, but yet it's not what I want, right? And I don't know how they
Yeah.
grew those apples. But I do
Hmm.
have my own apples, and it might take a few years to see it. And now I have pears. I have a pear tree that's
Nice.
supposed to do three, but it hasn't produced yet. But I can't wait to put those things in it. Well, let's say you don't want to do those things. You could find something you can do and barter with a friend. If I
Yeah.
can grow really good something in a pot and it does work, my neighbor's growing something else. Hey, I've got a lot of this. Can we trade? I
Mhm.
know that you could do that.
Yeah, not everybody has a backyard. I get it.
Mhm.
You may not have space to grow something, so maybe there's something you do that you could trade with someone. Yeah, we might have bartering is a great idea. And they
Mhm.
also have these little, oh, sorry, my camera moved, grow bags. And I bought some
Mhm.
and they're little and you can pick them up and move them. So if you have a window in your house,
Mm.
maybe you don't have a backyard or a balcony or anything, you can get these little grow bags. They're really inexpensive on Amazon or your local place, whatever. Um, just put dirt and whatever you want to grow and stick it in a place that stays warm and has sun inside your house if you want to try.
Mhm.
Um,
A little grow light would be nice. Yeah.
yeah, especially for winter. But if you're doing it during the summer, you might be able to find a spot in your house that's pretty
Mhm.
sunny.
I'm
Um,
really addicted to basil. I don't know what my thing is with basil. God, I love fresh basil, but it's
oh, it's
expensive, and
delicious.
it comes like a little dirt clob, and it's alive in the grocery store. And you come
Mhm.
home, and I have the hardest time getting it to keep staying alive. So 2 weeks ago, I was like, I killed something outside in a pot, and I thought, I'm just going to go stick this half dead basil in this pot, and I
Yeah.
did, and it's growing, and I'm just so
Ooh,
excited. My basil is
it's
growing.
so delicious.
Yeah.
And
So
it's
in
like,
the winter time, I want to try to do it
mm,
indoors.
yep, that's a great idea. Yeah, if you could have basil all year, I love basil.
I love
And
basil.
that's a great way to start too, some little
Mhm,
herbs.
mhm,
And I have a bunch of herbs now, and I make dressing in like 1 minute, and it's so much healthier. Just throw herb. You can throw almost any herb you have, whatever kind of oil, if you want to use oil, and then some vinegar and like some seasonings, and voila, you have dressing, and you don't have all the preservatives and all that
mhm,
stuff. And it's simple, but it is more work, technically, but you might already have the ingredients at home. It didn't necessarily cost you more, and you can do it right now. So these
mhm.
are just things,
That
where we
we're
have to
doing.
be more self-sufficient, and using herbs. Herbs are really good for you. They're like, especially rosemary is natural immunity, like really good for your system. And I want to move on to oh, that leads me into the next thing I was going to say, learning about basic DIY taking care of yourself. What can you do? Because it's hard to work, it's hard to get into the doctor. Things are challenging, like we talked about on the last podcast. So when you have something minor, what can you do to help yourself or your family? Like, so
Mhm.
take a little bit of time and just research natural remedies for whatever, XYZ, whatever's going on. Just look at that and maybe try one of, if it's not a severe thing, try out some of the natural remedies if you've never tried them before. You might be surprised to find what works, and you don't need to go to the doctor. I
Mhm.
always, usually, of course, depending, I'm not a doctor, so do what you need to do. But there's been a couple times where I've hurt my foot, but I'm like, I do not want to go. All they do is give you a boot anyways. So I have a boot at home, and I'll just stick my foot in the boot. And then usually I've used it twice and never went to the doctor, and my foot is completely fine. There's a million bones in your foot, so you
I
decide
had a
what's going
bruised
on with
one.
you. But I'm just saying, have some resources at home, to take care of yourself.
Mhm,
And maybe even I always see this advertisement for like this herbal pharmacy book.
mhm.
I don't know. I've never gotten it, but I'm curious about it. And I took a class, gosh, a few years ago, and there's all these herbs you can put together, and it's a natural painkiller. And so it's
Mhm,
not bad for your liver or your kidneys because it's a bunch of like
mhm.
intense herbs, ginger and like cinnamon and all this stuff. And it's just a natural painkiller.
Right.
And so you can take it with confidence as long as you're not allergic to any of the food items. I
Mhm.
know it's not actually doing side effects to your body that are hurting you as well.
I
Uh,
have a friend that has I'll call it almost like apothecary, Mahjong Herbals in
mhm,
Everett.
yeah,
And she has tinctures and
mhm,
teas and herbs in jars. She could put them in capsules of some stuff. When I do natural and I go there, I get her stuff or a
yep,
tea like chamomile is calming, which for
mhm,
mental health, maybe you should be on chamomile tea every day
yeah,
and or lavender tea. So
mhm,
all those things. When it comes to vitamins, minerals, or foods,
mhm.
all of that, I really, really, I don't get anything for this, but I love the medical medium.
Oh,
And
yeah, I have
he's a
some of
real
his books.
medium. And we
Mhm,
talk about trying to step back and not Google things. So maybe we
mhm,
should, the times that we are not sitting there researching how to fix ourselves, maybe look into a good book, like an encyclopedia, so to speak, not a real encyclopedia,
yeah,
but back in the day. So I do have all his books. And when
mhm,
someone says, oh, I have this, and this, I'm like, oh, well, maybe you should take this or this.
mhm,
Autoimmune and all these things that you have, there's things to help us. Stress, anger,
mhm,
menopause, hormones. It's in these books. And I like it because he's not just some person off of another site. He's got a plethora of knowledge, not to mention he is a medical medium.
Yeah. Yep.
So I love those books. I refer them out all the time. So
Yeah, it's like you got to kind of do a little bit of your own research, whether it's a book or online. And you know what? The phones and technology was meant to assist us. So if we're using it in a manner that helps us, I don't think there's any,
but it's easy that
no
technology
point.
is right there at our fingertips. I get
Yeah.
it. But sometimes, like when I refer out a book for people who are empathic, is the one book that I tell everybody, it's on my website or whatever. It's the
Mhm.
Survival Guide, the Empathic Survival Guide by Judith Orloff.
Yeah.
I say, please don't Kindle it. Buy
Right.
the book, highlight the book, dog-ear the book, give reference to something in your hand, because maybe in a sense, I was saying it so that the device isn't in your hand versus let me step away from the phone. But I've been saying this for many years, whatever.
Mhm.
I want to tell you something really weird that happened, and I hope I don't get in trouble for saying this. Years ago, when I finally got into a laptop, I thought, this is really cool. I could write or whatever. I would sit while my husband watches TV and I would put this laptop on my lap. About a month or so into it, I did not put the connection together, but I started having walking problems. I couldn't walk. It was hard. I would have pain in my thighs and I didn't know what it was. And one day, and this is so long ago, like Jeffrey worked at Office Depot. And so I said something to him like, I think that laptop is hurting my legs. Like, I think the electricity is going into my body or some sort. He thinks I'm crazy. Okay. Of course, your mother's crazy. That night he went to work, he came home with a bean bag type thing that you put on your lap and then this hard cover, and then you put that on there.
Yeah.
Within 3 weeks, I had no leg problems.
Wow.
No leg problems. And when I would put the phone in my back pocket, I noticed my right hip hurts. So I think not everybody, but some people might be sensitive to absorbing that stuff. That's why we put those little magnets on things. And
Yeah, I am. Everybody's not, but I'm sensitive to the EMFs or whatever because when I
yes,
hold my phone, my hand gets hot and
hot.
itchy on the inside. And then even when I don't have the phone, it's hot and itchy on the inside for like hours. So I can't hold it for
Mhm.
long. I have a big thing that I put on the back of my phone case. Oh, it's a certain kind of crystal thing that's supposed to break up the electromagnetic whatever. And
Mhm.
people say that's too woo-woo, but I'll tell you, I can hold it. Yeah. Here's
Mine's
mine.
little. Oh, yours is
I
really
got the
big,
big
big
one
one. Mhm.
because it seriously hurts my hand. And so
And I put mine higher up because I feel that's where my ear goes to my brain or whatever. And so I was trying to protect it. And I think maybe there's more people getting on that bandwagon than you think, because there's
good.
no other explanation for what I'm about to say, that they have to be maybe doing this, is that they're all talking on their phone on speaker and they've got it out here. And I'm
Yeah.
sure they don't want everybody to really hear their conversation on both ends, but maybe they think that they're saving their brain. I don't know.
Well, even years ago when I was still at work, I started to hear people talk about how soda isn't good for you and they're not allowing it in their home anymore and stuff like that. And I was like, oh, okay. Because I quit soda. Well, my parents didn't really have soda in the house when I grew up. And so it was really easy for me to transition to an adult and not drink a lot of soda. So I just at some point was like, no, soda's not for me, you know? And so I've been like that for years and years, but starting to hear other people like, I don't think this is good. There's a lot of sugar. It seems simple, but as a big society, everybody, people like
Mhm.
soda. And anyway, so it's just exciting when you like go, oh,
Here's somebody.
yeah,
When
they're
I
doing
was
this.
young, when I was younger, when it was always Coke bottles,
Mm.
right? And we didn't have cans in the beginning. And so when cans came along at a very young age, I would tell my mom, I want the bottle, not the can. Well, the
Mm,
bottles you had to save and then take them back to the store to get your 10 cents back.
mhm.
And which was good because it went for the next soda, right? To help. But my mom used to think that there was no difference. But I
Yeah.
swear to you that there's a difference. So when I know we're talking about technology and taking things back, but I went above and beyond with metals. So I know
Mm,
metals mess with our brains, they
yeah.
mess with ADHD, depression, that plays a big factor of the things in our body. So I had some feelings in my mouth from when I was a child that were silver,
Mm,
and those are gone. It
nice.
did cost some money, but over time, but
Yeah.
I removed them. So why do I
Mhm.
want to have a soda, which is probably not the best, inside of a can, been inside of a can? Is it, you have to put some thought process to it. I don't care if
Mhm.
you guys don't do it, but I have made it that way. I haven't
Yep.
had soda. Well, I can't tell you when the last time I had soda. I do a lot of tea and water.
Mhm.
I
Oh, and
hate
I
water.
always you were talking about, like, teas and stuff at mahjong's. I keep, what I call my medicinal box of
Mhm,
teas at all times, and they're
mhm,
inexpensive, and you can do, like, throat coat, stomach,
mhm,
whatever, whatever, and I always have them there, and that's kind of one of my first remedies for when
mhm,
something is off in the
mhm,
household, whether it's me or somebody else's. Tea is a really easy place to
mhm.
start.
I have a cool idea. How about I reach out to Lynn to see if she wants to pop on and be a guest about things to put in our medicine cabinet,
Oh, that would be wonderful.
right?
Yeah,
And then
because
she
she's
could
very
make up
educated
kits.
on it.
Very educated on it. She's the guru. So, and then maybe she could set up some type of kits that we could put up, or that,
Yeah,
they could go and get their own or whatever. I will reach
yeah,
out to her.
yeah, that'd be cool. And then we need to wrap it up. So I'm going to say a couple more. Um, do do do. No, it's okay. Create something. Creating anything. What do you like to create? Or do you like to draw? Do you like to sing? Do you like to put something together? We don't have a lot of time and everybody's working and you're busy, or maybe you have excess time and you use it on your phone. I don't know, but spend time to make something with your own hands or your own mind, or, kind of find that hobby that you used to have. And even if you like, I like to paint and stuff, but I just can't find the time to go in there and do it. And so, because I feel like it's a really messy hobby and I want to be able to be messy and leave everything out. So maybe if I can't really get into it, so what? Set the timer for 10 minutes and go in there and I can draw something out that I can paint later. But do something that makes your heart sing. What is it? If you can't think of anything, think back to when you were a child. What makes you happy?
Mhm.
And try and find, even if it's not every day, because that's a lot to commit to, once a week, once a month, find that thing.
But the phone sometimes tells me how many hours I have been active on it.
Yeah.
And so maybe if you have that and you can see it in your face, then let's say, can you commit to taking an hour off of that phone a day?
Mhm.
But in that hour, can you replace it with journaling, reading a book, maybe calling? Oh, nope, because they're all going to use your cell phones, right? So maybe you could just go somewhere, do something, have tea with somebody, have coffee with somebody, have a drink with somebody. I don't care. But that 1 hour, can we just try to flip it into something that has nothing to do with technology?
Yeah, like, just challenge yourself, and I know it's hard and it feels unnatural at this point. It can.
Mhm.
So it's hard, but we've gotta go there because we're failing ourselves. Not
And
everybody. I am talking about me. I'm not talking about you, but just
I'm
as a
talking about me.
society,
I'm
you
talking
know,
about me as well.
like, we're so amazing. We're so, like, we could do so many things, but instead we're like this, staring at our phones, and we're eating
Mhm.
away at our life, just by reading about other people's.
Mhm.
I remember, and I have to keep this brief because we got to go, but like when I was a lot younger and just watching movies and stuff and watching TV. And I think, why am I watching other people live their lives? I need to go out and live my own. Like, that's so cool that they went on this boat trip. I want my own boat trip. I need to stop watching other people and just do my own. So, I have a couple more things, but we're going to skip them because we have to wrap it up. But just kind of in a sense, it's like assessing our life. What can we change? What can we do for ourselves so we can stop depending on the grocery store, the government, the doctors. And yes, we need everything, but what can we take on for ourselves? And when you do more and you know more, and you can be more self-sufficient, you're more confident, you're stronger because you can do it. You have more resources. And so that's kind of our point, is having a revival of people knowing how to take care of themselves. And we're working through it along with you.
Yeah. I think that's all right. I think that's all right. Maybe they could tell us what they're doing, what changes they have made to take back their own little power of what you're going to give and get, and how that makes you feel. What did you replace it with? Like, subscribe, share, for everyone can get a little taste of this, right?
Yeah. All right. Thank you, guys. We will see you next time.
From my heart to yours, I love you.
Mwah.